Hello, welcome to AEC Unplugged. I'm your host, Danielle Gray, and I'm happy you're here with me. Okay, so look, I currently serve as the Director of Content and Knowledge Resources at SMPS HQ. I'm so excited to have you here. We are going to be discussing a really interesting story from engineer to marketer today, but also we have tons to talk about because if you haven't been here before, you need to know what this is about, what AEC Unplugged is about. So I like to think about it as I've been kind of reconsidering how to describe AEC Unplugged. It is the HI, which is the human intelligence. There's so much talk about AI, right? And I think this is really a great place in intended to be a platform to discuss trends, to talk about what's coming and important to our AEC industry, while also with a human touch, right? To get to know our thought leaders, to have real discussions, and to really just connect. So, wherever you are joining in from, please put it in the comments. Let us know where you're joining in from. I'm logging in from Atlanta, Georgia, where it is nice outside. Man, I'm happy about that. Spring is on its way. So thank you again for joining. All right, so before we get too far, I want to share about some programming as well. So on March 18th, we have a learning lab. So for all the SMPS members joining in, this is free, so you can join. Scott Butcher always has so many interesting trends and insights from specifically this one's about the AEC the AEC dot AI or AEC dot BD report. We have so many of these different reports. But I am really excited for you to be able to join in again, free for SMPS members. So be sure to join in March 18th. Next up, this is actually our guest for today, but we do want to make sure if you can jump in, jump out, join Emma for her webinar on March 20th. This is about maximizing ROI, crafting data-driven marketing strategies for AEC success. So we are going to be talking to Emma today. More on that later, but let's keep it going. We also have another learning lab available and free for all SMPS members. On April 15th, this is going to be with Ida Chime flip the script about modern marketing principles to win the talent war. I think we all know that this is an ongoing discussion. And so we are excited to have Ida discuss this with us on April 15th. Right after that, like literally 2 days later, we are going to be turning feedback into action with Tim Azimos. Tim will also be a guest on AEC Unplugged, so we are excited to have that conversation with him. A lot of you know Tim has been speaking all across the SMPS circuit, so we are excited to have him virtually for this webinar. And then in May, look, we have we're stacked up. Okay, it's March. We're talking about May. I'm really excited about that. Proposal differentiation, standing out of the sea of same. I think we know what this is like for proposals and those who manage that. So you definitely want to go ahead and register now and put it on your calendar for proposal differentiation. I think this conversation with Dawn and Christine is going to be very, very insightful. And so I'm excited to have you all join us for that. And next up, AEC.ai. You see how it was like AEC.BD, AEC. Okay, AEC.ai is our AI conference, and it's in person, which is so preferable. You can talk with other firms, other people that are doing exactly what you are doing at this artificial intelligence conference specifically for you. This one is going to be in DC. So right in near our offices, actually, in Alexandria, Silver Lakes. Make sure I know. I'm in Atlanta, so my producer will get me together. Either way, join in AEC.ai. You'll be flying into DC. Okay, so if I don't get the exact right area, that's okay. Next up, we have Amplify AEC. That is our national conference, so you have got to join in for that. We will be the education program is available, so go to Amplify to register, to learn more about the education, to meet the speakers, meet the committee, all the different things. Make sure to register for that ASAP. Okay. Did I do all? Is that all of them? Did I get all the programming right there? Okay. Weston Crystal City. Thank you. Thank you. Devin, let's give it up for Devin in the background. Okay. I think you guys should really know she is amazing. Hello from Devin. So great. So great. See, this is why this is the best show. It's the best show. Okay, so if you haven't told us where you're joining in from, do that now. We are excited to have you. And again, it's not just to let me know where you're from. There's other people that are watching too. So we want to make sure that you all stay connected within this universe of AEC. Okay. All right. Now, here we go. We are really excited for the conversation we're going to have today. It's from engineer to marketer. We are going to have Emma, the founder of Metrics Marketing, and she has such an interesting story. I got to talk to Emma a little while back to talk about the webinar that she's going to be doing, but also she's wrote an article in the Marketer, and also wrote a blog on the S&PS Insights blog. So this is going to be really good. Emma has is a wealth of information. So welcome to
you.
AEC Unplugged stage,
Hello,
Emma.
hello. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. And so, I typically start the interviews with the same question, which is, how did you get into the AEC industry? And but you have an interesting way of coming in. So based on obviously the title, so can you tell me more about your journey from engineer to marketer?
Of course, it's not a very common one, and I
Mhm.
honestly get asked a lot of questions about it. It's kind of funny, but so I started as my career as an engineer. So I'm a civil and structural engineer, and I was drawn to it because I love problem solving, and I love creativity. So the idea of being able to design something and having actually see it to become a building or a structure was quite exciting. So I did design for about 3 to 4 years, and then I realized there was an opportunity for me not just to provide technical solutions, but I was drawn to communicating the value of the work, talking about the design that goes behind every project, and all the innovative solutions. And I find that quite exciting that I was able to, let's just say, translate a very complicated engineering terminology into something that connects with the stakeholders, with the clients that they may not have technical background. And that's how I actually ended up doing marketing. And I've been doing marketing in the AEC for the last, it's almost 15 years now. And what I do is now, instead of creating building designs or actually physical structures, I work with my AEC clients and I develop brand strategies, or I create marketing strategies and brand stories that help them position themselves as a leader, be able to articulate their expertise in a way that is understandable to everybody,
Yes.
and be able to connect. And I feel like I was really drawn to that, creating connection, engaging with the client, and actually making them take an action and convert. And I always say I actually never left engineering, I just apply it differently.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And there's always, especially those that are in marketing, business development that work specifically for engineering firms. But I think it's really the technical field in general. There's I think there's misconceptions on both ends, right? It's like, oh, they don't understand, or they're too fluffy. I know I've been called too fluffy a couple of times in
Yeah,
my life,
we all have
in a
been.
nice way. I think in a nice way. But what are some common misconceptions that you see that engineers may have about marketing, and then marketers have about engineers? What are your thoughts on
I
that?
have some funny ones, and I'm sure everybody, we all have our own stories. And
Sure.
I've been lucky enough to be part of both groups. So I actually They give me trouble from both ends.
Uh-huh.
So, but one of the ones is, with the technical team, they come to you and they're like, hey, listen, we don't need marketing. I'm just going to bang out 100-page technical spec, and it's going to be full of really complicated stuff. I'm going to throw in lots of data, and that's enough. That's going to sell.
Right.
So
Right.
guess what? That doesn't sell. And
Hmm.
as much as you want to tell them that, there has to be a compelling story. The client doesn't have time to sit and read through 100 pages of something that they may not really understand, as
Right.
great as it is. So I would say there is always room for marketing to actually translate what you're saying into something that is more simple and make it about the client. Make the client the hero of your story. Explain all those great data and those 100 pages. What does it do? What is the benefit to the client? And I think that's where marketing come in. And yes, we may make it fluffy, but it's important to,
Yes.
it's good to have some fluff, but it's important to also be relatable.
Mhm.
The other one that I hear a lot is, again, you talked about it. It's all about the gut feelings. It's a lot of fairy dust, and it's not based on facts. And I say, by definition, marketing in AEC is built on case studies, data sheets, all the technical brochures. So there is no way we can create those without a strategy. We
Right.
can't create them without a data-driven approach. So yes, there may be a little bit of gut feeling there, that we know what the client like, and we actually it's based on research, but there's always a strategic approach. On the marketing side, I've heard a lot of that as well. So the marketing team, they always say, the engineers, they really don't care about marketing, and they only care about data. Yes, true, they care about data. So why don't we speak their language?
Mhm.
If you want to get them excited, bring your sales funnel. Bring the analytics from your campaigns and show them all the numbers, all the A/B testing you're doing. There is a way to speak with them and connect with them. If numbers and data are the way to speak with them, let's just do that. And I think that's really get them excited. The other one that I've heard actually recently is, so the engineers are quite dry and they're introverted and they don't like branding, or they don't like communicating their expertise. In fact, I argue that I've been lucky enough with every technical person that I worked. If I ask them about their projects, they get quite excited,
Yeah.
like to share. And that's what I like about AC. There's sort of like a culture of knowledge sharing, and they really get excited. They want to tell you about the design, how they solve the specific solution. Yes, it's possible they may not be able to communicate it in a way that is appealing, and that's where we come in. So there's education piece. Maybe we just have to give them the guidance as marketing team. Maybe we need to give them the right platform to be able to tell that story. But they do have this story, and they do like to share.
I think that that's so interesting because I kind of take it back a bit. My first presentation ever was called "Confessions of a Content Whisperer," and
Yeah.
it was about like how you talk to different technical experts to get the content that you need. And the truth is it is if you ask about projects and you have specific questions, I feel like they're much more open. I think it's just like figuring out how to connect with people. And that's all people. There's very quiet, introverted marketers, just like there's very outgoing engineers. So I think if we kind of look at it as talk to people like they're human, and connect on that in that way, I think that's the best thing. So I appreciate that. That's really helpful. Do you have any insight to help someone like how to build that bridge and kind of overcome those differences within a team in within a firm?
So what I do usually, so right now I own an agency, but I was in house with a couple of
Hmm.
firms, and I had a team that they didn't have the technical background. I would tell them just to go to the meetings, even though you may not understand anything. It's important for you to be part of the design meeting, just to understand. It's quite impressive.
Yeah.
The idea starts with like nothing, and then all of a sudden everything comes together, and it's magic. And it just familiarize yourself with terminologies, the same as the technical team. I always tell them, like I don't bore them with talking about the impressions and click-through rate because I will lose them. But I tell them at least know the minimum of what your marketing team is doing.
Mhm.
There's a lot that we do behind closed doors. A lot of people on the BD team, proposal marketing communications, that I feel that it's sort of like hidden.
Mhm.
So get involved, go sit with your marketing team and ask questions. And I think that may be helpful, and don't be shy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I remember I used to do lunch and learns just to
Yeah.
share what we're doing. So that can be another way that if you're like, okay, how do I share that knowledge sharing that you're talking about? How do we do that? And usually it always comes down to food. People love food,
Yes.
donuts.
I love
They'll come and hang out. So the next question I have for you is, can you share some common pitfalls firms often face when trying to tie ROI to marketing? Because it's like it seems like it's
that.
this so far apart. And what advice would you share to help marketers avoid those
Yes.
pitfalls?
And I feel like that's the pain point of the
Yes,
marketing team, because
yes,
unfortunately the nature of our work is a lot of the data and the KPIs are not quantitative, they're
right.
qualitative, and it takes a long time to achieve them. So it is hard to be measured on certain things. So one of the things that I'm sure everybody can relate to, from the technical and the leadership team, is the number of leads. We need a certain number of leads by end of the month. We need to increase our proposal win rate by 50% in 2 weeks. So all of that, I feel like it's very short term. And what we do as marketers and communication and branding team is playing the long term and playing the long game. And what it means is, the whole AEC sector is built on trust. You have to build trust with your audience. You have to make sure that you create relationship, and all of that happens over time. So it's not something you can have, you only have on the short term. And the sales cycles are quite long. So I would say one of the things that you want to be doing as a marketing team is to focus on some of the long term um, value you bring to the team. Make a set realistic expectations. So for example, if you're going to help the company grow in a certain geographical area in a couple of years, just do your initiatives now, figure out who you have to connect with, how are you going to influence them, and then you will be able to show that it's not just about the short-term results, it's about the brand building, brand equity, and actually building the pipeline. So that's one thing. And the other one is, again, I'm sure everybody has heard of it, that marketing teams sometimes by the leadership it is seen as a cost center,
Mhm.
not a revenue driver.
Right.
And it's very hard, and we all deal with it, and it's very very difficult. And the truth is, we do contribute to the BD success. We do contribute to the pipeline growth, to the revenue growth, but it's just hidden. So what I say is, again, the way I said, speak the language of the engineers. We have to speak the language of the business leaders. Maybe only revenue makes sense to them. Maybe a certain amount of growth makes sense to them. So show that how you were able to build the funnel or the campaign, how you were able to segment the client, plan the campaign, and then post it, for example, contribute it somewhere, and create a thought leadership piece, and how that increase the brand awareness, it shorten the sales cycle, or any other impact that you may have on the end result. And I think that's quite important. Just showcase the value.
I think those are so good because it goes back to speaking the language of I mean, is it are we like literally that I feel like that's what we're
You're
talking about.
psychologist.
A lot of it is about that. So I'm really excited about your upcoming webinar on March 20th, and you are specifically talking about maximizing ROI.
Yes.
And so, what for those that are considering coming and joining your session, what can attendees expect from this session?
So it's going to be really real with actionable strategies, that whether if you are part of the in-house marketing team or you are an AEC leader and you want to see how you can um, maximize the return on investment on your marketing initiatives, I think it would be useful for you. You can take those tips and techniques home and you can apply them right away. Hopefully, you will see some good results. We're going to have some worksheets that I'm going to give away that you can take away and work with them. But the idea is basically make sure that every piece of content you put out there, your campaigns, or basically any sort of branding and marketing initiatives you take, it contributes to the business growth, and make sure that you measure them, because there's so many, we just talked about it, that it is the pain point and it's very difficult to measure everything. But there are different ways to do that. So we're going to start by setting clear goals, talking about how can we align our marketing strategies with the business goals, and how can we make sure that everything we do contributes to the business goal. And then the second part is creating high impact content. And I chose content because I do believe within AEC we have a lot to work with. And it's just making sure that it speaks to our audience. If we are going to create thought leadership pieces, case studies, or even that 50 pages of technical report we talked about, how can you actually make it effective, that talks to the pain points of a specific client, and make sure that you can actually push them in the sales funnel and make sure you can convert them. I'm going to have some real life examples of some of the
Oh,
AEC
great.
firms, which I think they're doing really well. So we're
Hmm.
going to just showcase some of those, because it's always good to see somebody else has done it,
Yes.
the proof.
Yes.
And then we're going to end that with, tracking the success, because it's always important to show that you are successful. And even if we find something that is not working, how do we go about it? How do we do A/B testing? How do we remedy the mistakes and come up with something else, another solution that can fix the issue and then contribute to the success of marketing. So again, as I said, it's for everyone, whether in you're part of the marketing or the technical team. I'm hoping I will be able to give you some tips that are useful.
I mean, ROI is everyone's job. And so I think you're right, having the principals, having technical group marketers, business developers, anyone that is connected to growth and to ROI. This feels like, and I already know, just working with you, talking with you the first time, I was like, no, Emma knows what she's talking about for sure. And so
Yeah,
I was
I think I learned my lesson the hard way, because time has changed. Like
like,
15 years ago, there wasn't enough awareness about what the marketing team do. Right now, just having SMPS is great. The fact that we have an association, we can actually talk about our struggles and bring visibility to it. But it didn't exist before, so I learned my lesson that I have to show the value,
mhm.
and there are techniques, easy ways we can do. We can showcase that, and so hopefully you guys can walk away with some tips.
Oh, I am sure that they will. So before we go, I have my final question that I'm really curious of what you want to share here. So words of wisdom. I always like to close with words of
Ooh.
wisdom. What would you share with those watching, or even in the replay, for AEC growth professionals that are thinking about maximizing ROI and in general? What's some words of wisdom that you would share?
I think I can just look back at what worked for me. So I have been lucky enough again to do both, to be on both sides, the marketing and the technical. But I do believe that I touched on it before, but working in silos, it's very dangerous. So we all have seen the marketing BD team and the technical team, they work separately, even when they put the proposal together. Sometimes they're not really connected,
Mhm.
and I feel that it's really not working that way. And one thing that I suggest is try to work together as much as you can. If you are part of the marketing team, make sure you connect. I kind of talked about it a little bit. Make sure to connect with the engineering team, ask questions, learn about all the acronyms. I worked on a nuclear project once, and everything sounded Greek to me. I couldn't understand anything, and I remember, even though I have an engineering background, I had to go Google everything
Right.
and memorize, because then not only you build a relationship with the technical team and they respect you, but also you will be able to create better content. And if you are part of the technical team, don't look at us as an afterthought. We are there. We are your resources. Leverage our expertise. Leverage the marketing team expertise. Use us as your, I would say, strategic partners, and we are there to help and basically work together. And that has been great for me. I have been able to build relationships, and I hope that works for everybody else as well.
Thank you so much, Emma. That was very helpful. Connection. That's what we want, and not working in silos. Thank you so much
Of
for
course.
joining AEC Unplugged today. And don't forget, make sure to join Emma for on March 20th. And if you can't make it in person, it will be available on demand. So register now. Thank you so much, Emma, for
Thanks
joining.
for having me. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye. So, look, we've made it to another close of AEC Unplugged. I am so excited. I hope you got something from it as much as I did. You know, the thing that I really pulled from this conversation is the importance of connection and being able to speak each other's language. I think, again, it goes back to what I was talking about and how I was describing AEC Unplugged is this HI. There is AI, and it is revolutionizing our industry, our world. But there is so much importance of just knowing how to speak to one another, to understanding one another, and being curious about how we can work together in community to get work done, to make a difference, right? So I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you did too. But before we go, let me share a few more of our upcoming programming. March 18th, we have a great conversation free for SMPS members about the AEC.BD report. A lot of insights, a lot of trends. Definitely want to join that. Right after that, Emma, who was our guest today, she will be delivering this webinar, Maximizing ROI. We talked a lot about that today, and I am sure these marketing strategies are going to be very helpful to you and to your team. We have April 15th, free to SMPS members, Ida Chimon, modern marketing principles to win the talent war. Again, that's a big deal in our industry right now. And then 2 days later, April 17th, we have a webinar, Turning Feedback into Action with Tim Azimos, well sought after speaker within our industry. So this will be a great one. Make sure to tune in there. May 8th, proposal differentiation, standing out in the sea of same. That is going to be a big webinar. Go ahead and just register for it, whether that be for you or for your team that's working on that, business developers and marketers alike. And then, if you have not registered, AEC.ai is our in person conference coming up in May. 2 day conference going to be led by Christopher Penn, who is a genius at AI. We are excited to have him as our facilitator. Make sure to register for AEC.ai in person. And then we got to talk about Amplify. Amplify is here. It is coming August 6th through the 8th. This will be and is our annual conference for SMPS. It was great last year. So many good insights, so many great breakouts. The main stage, all of it. So be sure to register for that today as well. I got a couple of things for you, right? Plenty to do. So as I close, I love saying that, you know, if this has not moved you to be something different, I hope that it has moved you to do something different within your industry or as a person. I think it's important for us to listen and to communicate and connect with each other. So until next time, thank you for joining AEC Unplugged. Bye bye.